weren't going to be able to find the success we wanted turning the ball over. Obviously that became an issue. Defensively, too many explosive plays. I think the game for us comes down to turnovers and tackling. And I respected the way we stayed in the fight. I respected the way we competed. I thought in the first half we showed a lack of discipline after the snap, and that's disappointing because that's not to our identity. I thought in the second half we cleaned that up. We were able to capitalize on some of their penalties. There's a higher performance for this team out there, and we got to go and search for it, and we will. This is a resilient bunch of guys that care about each other. It's been a tough stretch here, but they're going to stay at it, and we'll keep in search of that Vanderbilt football performance for 4 quarters. I want to give a shout out to Brad Ashmore, who competed in that game. As of right now, Brad's scheduled for surgery on Monday, you know, that's always pending further evaluation, but knowing that coming into the game, that guy played the entire game, and I think a reflection of the spirit of our program, and I'm proud of him, and I want to acknowledge him as a bright spot on a disappointing day. So with that, I'm happy to open up for questions.
It didn't seem, watching the game, like there was a huge talent differential between the two teams on the field. Like what, you know, we've asked you like what needs to improve or change, like what options are there left, you know, for you to go to?
Well, you know, I think when you look at a talent differential, you know, South Carolina made more plays than we made, and you know, whether that's again plays on the perimeter where they're breaking tackles. I mean, that's an example of them winning a one-on-one where we come up short. And certainly there are design things. I thought offensively we came out of the Missouri game and created some design elements that helped us and got the run game going, and you know, I was proud of that. But you know, look, we have to keep improving, keep making progress. Obviously, you know, when it comes to tackling, that's a fundamental technique, but it's also about leverage, getting the ball level, getting the ball turned back on the perimeter. There's elements of again, you know, eye discipline and getting your technique fast in the opponent, and we just weren't good enough today when we weren't closing spaces and we weren't playing with that fundamental technical discipline. There's a short yardage snap there on 3rd down where we lose the edge, it breaks out on a long run. I mean, those are things we control, Robbie, and you know, we're not going to throw our hands up, and we're going to keep at it, and we'll find a better performance. You know, it wasn't tonight, it wasn't good enough tonight, but we're not that far off, like you mentioned. It's not, you know, there's not a huge talent discrepancy there, but they made more plays than we made, and you know, we're going to have to find ways to be better.
Yesterday it was reported that Dan Jackson backed Kanye West's recent comments. Today he was on the sidelines. Can you talk about that decision?
Well, first of all, I don't want to answer that question as for Dan Jackson in terms of backing Kanye West's comments. What I will say is that Dan Jackson, you know, made a mistake, and I'm deeply disappointed by this situation. You know, we want to create an environment here where we have conversations around this, and we want to have an environment where we learn in these situations too. I sat down with Dan as soon as I caught wind of this, and as he expressed in his statement, you know, he was embarrassed and apologetic in that meeting. Feels awful about it. Obviously, as a program, you know, we value diversity in all forms, and that's evidenced in our staff and the makeup of our team. And you know, certainly we reject anti-Semitism, we reject hate speech of any kind. You know, I would never want for anything coming out of this program to be viewed as in support of anything that puts people at risk, and you know, I'm disappointed about this. So we reject the discriminatory language, we reject the hate speech, you know, we reject anti-Semitism, and you know, at this point, there's no further comment on the situation. That's not to leave the door open for further discourse later, but at this point, I'd like to make the you know, press conference about the game.
It was pretty chippy out there, a lot of penalties, a lot of stuff after plays. What was going on that made this game particularly that way?
Well, I mean, I think we're carrying the emotions of frustration. You know, I think that's part of it, and I think we have to be above those emotions, you know, in the competitive moment, and that's not playing to our identity. There's nothing good that happens towards the outcome of a game after the whistle. And so, you know, we have to be more disciplined than that. I thought in the second half, we settled in, and I thought we played a style and a, you know, demeanor that's representative of our program. And like I said, I felt like we were able to capitalize on some situations where maybe they lost their discipline. But, you know, that's something that we'll coach, that we coached in the moment, that, you know, we'll come back to in film on Monday, and you know, we're going to fight for the result we want, but that fight needs to happen between the whistles.
Respectfully, I think a lot of stakeholders, you know, within the university or alumni, probably people in your program are pissed off about the Dan Jackson situation. Why don't they deserve to know the full story?
Well, Robbie, I, you know, obviously understand. I mean, I understand the emotion behind it. And it's not a matter of not knowing the full story, because there's a door open here to have a continued dialogue. But at this moment right now, I don't have any further comment on the situation.
Why isn't he going to talk tonight?
Right now, tonight's about the game. I'm not shutting the door to Dan Jackson talking and being out there and having a situation where we have a conversation. I think conversations are critical. And again, this is an environment where we want to promote that level of discourse. But right now, this is going to be about the game, and we'll leave time for that another time.
But speaking of the game, you know, why was Dan still allowed to coach in the game tonight?
That's not speaking about the game, that's commenting on the situation, and I'm not going to do that right now, Aria. And again, it's not to say that we won't have time for that, but right now, we're not going to talk about it.
From a football perspective, you know, I mean, why do you feel confident that he can coach guys and help you win games when he believes all this crazy stuff that Kanye West says that doesn't make any sense?
I understand, Robbie, the emotion. I understand the question, and again, we don't discuss personnel matters, and we don't discuss the evaluation of personnel matters publicly. That's not what we do as a university, and so again, I'm not going to answer that question right now. So no further comment.
Anything else about the game tonight?
Yeah, is AJ okay, or what?
He wasn't able to return. You know, right now I don't have an update on his status, but obviously he's missed time here recently, and we got to get him evaluated and hope for his health and hope he can be back. But if not, Mike Wright needs to be ready to go. So we'll address that again on Tuesday. But right now I don't have an update on his status.
Nick Rinaldi played tonight. I'm not sure if that's his first. Was somebody hurt? I think that's unusual. He's a walk-on who just started playing football last year. What contributed to that situation?
Nick has been a guy that has continued to improve through the season. He started playing for us on special teams, and has been a guy that in preparation has shown flashes. And certainly as you move through the season and you know you're dealing with injury and you're banged up, you know you're going to need to have guys step up. We believe in Nick. We don't want to you know go beyond 4 games for him this season, because we think a redshirt year is important for someone who hasn't played so much football. But we're going to use him you know up until that point to help us win.
Was there an injury or anybody in front of him, or was he just playing because
wasn't available tonight.
I'm sorry. Oh,
DJ.
yeah. Okay. Run game. you seem like you found something on the edges. Was that something you saw on film, and what did you just think about how that progressed tonight?
Yeah, well, we like our running backs, and felt like against Missouri we weren't able to create the space for them structurally, I thought the offense staff did a good job with design, and I thought our front did a good job creating some space, and then obviously our backs are good enough to create explosive plays, and they did that. There was also patience involved there, where we were committed to the run game even when it was 1st and 10, 2nd and 8, over time, Ray and Cheeks both were able to do some good things for us. So that's got to be a feature of our offense, if we're to be successful in offense, and I was glad to see them get that going tonight.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.